Aloha and welcome to the Secret Art of Huna podcast, where I'll be sharing how to use Huna, the carefully guarded spiritual, energetic and healing practices of the ancient Hawaiians, to help you transform those bits of your life that aren't working, to help you find your purpose, or maybe just to help you dump emotional baggage. I'm Dr. Jane Lewis, and 20 years ago I was burnt out, depressed, unfulfilled, disappointed, directionless and deeply, deeply miserable. Huna enabled me to change all that, and so I now share it with whoever wants to experience a more joyful, fulfilling life. Well, good morning and aloha, and welcome to today's discussion piece. So today, like many households across the country, I'm imagining, I'm going to be talking about the coronavirus, COVID-19, and the opportunities that it offers. Because what I'm seeing a lot on social media and what I'm seeing a lot in the press or on the news is this pessimism and this it's going to hell in a handcart and this fear and all the bad things that are happening with this virus. And I know there are a lot of bad things happening, so it's not to deny that. But I also think that this is a place of incredible opportunity. And what I wanted to do in this video was partly to give some tips, which I've given before, but repeat some tips for reducing the anxiety about it, and also explore the question of possibility. Because here's the thing. When we focus on fear, when we focus on pessimism, when we allow ourselves to indulge in a pessimistic environment, it actually affects the environment in our body. Now, research has shown, and Bruce Lipton's probably the most obvious person who's spoken about it in his book, The Biology of Belief, that research has shown that if you stick a cell into a petri dish, a research dish, and allow it to develop and grow, if you change its environment to a more nourishing environment, the cell will flourish. If you change its environment to a less nourishing environment, the cell will die. And changing the environment could be changing the temperature, changing the chemicals in the atmosphere, all sorts of things that you can do to change the environment. It's not just feeding it. So if you think of our body as a huge collection of cells, because we are basically walking collections of cells, then the environment that we create in our body is going to affect the ability of our cells to grow and flourish in a really positive way. And the environment, of course, heat and light and exposure to pollution and viruses and all that sort of stuff is going to affect the environment that we're setting up for the cells in our body. But a really key piece that affects the environment for the cells in our body is our thinking. The way that we think. Candice Pert wrote a great book, The Molecules of Emotion, which is all about how our thoughts have a very direct impact on the chemical changes, important chemical changes in our bodies. So we know that our thoughts are an important part of the environment that we create for ourselves. So if we think happy thoughts, we create a happy environment for ourselves. And if we think sad thoughts, we create a sad environment. If our thoughts are fearful, we're creating a fearful environment, and so on and so forth. So the more that we can focus on the positive in this situation, the more that we can address and release the fear, the better the environment that we're setting up for ourselves in our bodies. And of course, when our cells are happy, when they're flourishing, they're much better able to deal with anything that comes flying past us, like COVID-19. So there's a real benefit to thinking in a more positive way, to creating a more positive environment, and to releasing fear. Now, one of the ways that we create the environment is, of course, the people that we connect with, the people we listen to. And that includes the news, social media, newspapers, and any other way that we connect and get information, as well as our friends, our relatives, our loved ones, our not so loved ones, our colleagues, but just generally people who we connect with. All these things contribute to the environment that allows our cells to flourish or not flourish. So the more that we can have a positive environment, the better. So one of the things that we can do is to focus on the positive. And I really, really do believe that there is a potentially huge opportunity with this whole virus thing. Our world has changed. It's never going to be the same again, because the very least that's going to happen is that we have memory now of this isolation, this global isolation. Now, I haven't seen Syria in the news for ages. I have no idea whether the bombing is still going on in Syria or whether everybody is self-isolating. I don't know what's happening in that part of the world. News isn't talking about it. But certainly in the Western world, in Europe, in the Americas, in Australia, in Asia, people are self-isolating. And this is a global phenomenon. It's a collective phenomenon. We're all doing it all together. We feel so connected with one another at that level because we're all in the same canoe. We're all in the same boat. So this, if nothing else, we will, for our generation and effectively for the next generation, there will be this memory, this global collective memory of when the virus came and what happened. So the impact of this now is going to linger. It's going to be carrying forward in our memory. And it is an opportunity to change things. It's an opportunity to say, how do we want the world to be? Our ways of being have changed. Our ways of working have changed. Our ways of being part of a family have changed. Our households have changed. Our ways of getting food, our ways of working, all these things are changing even as I speak. So there's this amazing opportunity to have the world a different way. But the first step is to decide how it is we want the world. So question that I would offer to you, and I'm certainly offering to myself in my own journaling, I'm exploring this question, is how do I want the world to be once we're past this situation with the virus and once we're back to something that looks like normal, but it really will be the new normal? How do you want it to be? Because when we focus on the positive, then we start to get positive results. We have this golden opportunity in our hands to really change the way things are, to really make a difference post-corona, to really have a different world. But the question is whether we seize that opportunity or whether we are so busy dwelling in our fear and dwelling in the things that are bad about the virus that we don't take that time to do that thinking. Because as a planet, as a population on a planet, we do have this opportunity. I really believe that there are so many opportunities. It's not to deny the awfulness of the virus. I mean, there's been some really appalling impacts for different people. You hear the appalling stories, but there is also the possibility of a beauty in it. One of the beauties in it is that the planet is recovering. Nature's taking its opportunity. We're not going to the fragile places in the same numbers anymore, and the fragile places are starting to recover. So there is beauty in this opportunity as well as awfulness and grief. In due course, I'm going to do some videos or some audios, some meditations to enable release of anger, because I think a lot of people are angry about it. Fear. I know a lot of people are fearful about it. Sadness, because I think we're all mourning the way our world was, particularly for people who've gone into real social isolation. It can be really distance from loved ones, not being able to interact with loved ones, not being able to give your loved ones a hug, not being able to touch people. Yeah, we're all, the way our work has changed, the way our getting food, the ability, our choice that I can go out every day, a number of times a day and exercise in the way I want and hook up with whoever I want. all that has changed, and I think we're all grieving it, or a lot of people are grieving it. So we are going through grief. And of course, because many of us are sitting at home in much greater isolation than we've ever experienced, any baggage that we have, any fear or anger or sadness or guilt or anything else that's going on, it's really up there and in our face. If you're living on your own, you're much more likely to be living with your baggage. So, great opportunity, great time to acknowledge your baggage, recognize your baggage, face your emotions and release them. So I will be doing some meditations on that, but that's not for today. As always, I hope this has been useful. I hope it's been interesting. I'd love to hear your comments. Go well, go safe, and what is it? How is it you would like the world to be post-corona? What do you want us as a collective to do differently now we know what we know with the experience of the coronavirus? Look forward to hearing from you. Take care. Bye now.
I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. If you want to bring about rapid transformation in your life, check out secretartofhuna.com, where you can also download a free meditation to help you with self-forgiveness. You can also look out for Secret Art of Huna on social media such as Facebook and LinkedIn. I look forward to talking to you again very soon.